Hello, you Midas Mighty. Harry Litman here with the reaction, another reaction to the January 6th committee report. This one gets a little legal. Put on your legal thinking caps, but if I succeed in saying it clearly enough, I think it'll be easy enough to follow, and it's really important. It concerns the Constitution itself, the 14th Amendment, the big amendment that shifted the whole federal state power balance, and that is huge to this day. And one of the things it did, it was obscure until Donald Trump started basically committing insurrection. But one of the things it does is have a special clause that has a new qualification to be president. It is a qualification, and that matters. Most people know you got to be 35. You got to be born in the U.S. And guess what? You must never have sworn an oath to the Constitution and then committed insurrection. So maybe you were wondering, why is it that the January 6th committee included this insurrection charge among the 4 charges it had? That surprised most people. They expected the first 2. And then the 4th of having to do with state electors made sense. But what's going on with this? Well, we got a hint when they first announced it with what Vice Chair Cheney and Jamie Raskin, constitutional law professor Jamie Raskin, for his career, and that matters. And it was indeed this, as we know from the final report, attempt to try to exploit Section 3, which would, in a way, give a whole grand solution to the humongous problems that Donald Trump has visited on the country and our politics by keeping him from running again. All right. So it says straightforwardly, if you've committed insurrection, having before sworn an oath, you may not run for public office, serve in public office. So it would seem pretty straightforwardly cover him. 2 big hurdles to discuss. 1, the conviction for insurrection and the charge itself. And then 2nd, how you actually prove it for constitutional purposes. On the first, I just want to note, of the 4 charges they sent forward, the committee, about Trump, this one's the hardest. For one, notice everything else involves a conspiracy, things that Trump did before with other people like Mark Meadows or Giuliani to make this happen. This charge of insurrection doesn't, because I don't think they believe there's proof that Trump said, okay, let's make this violent melee happen. I agree with Enrique Tarrio. However, what did he do? After it started, he did nothing. And the theory here is going to be, and it is, that he aided and abetted that insurrection. Now, to aid and abet, first, that's the same thing. That's just as serious as doing the crime itself. Aiding and abetting liability always counts. But if you're doing nothing, and that's the way you're aiding, you need to have a duty to do something. I think he's got one pretty clearly. He's the president of the United States. There's a riot in the Capitol. It is his duty to try to quell it. Instead, he does nothing. And some of the evidence that came forward in the big report is, absolutely stunning and really stomach turning. He finds out about it and he's indifferent to jubilant. There's the notorious phone call to Kevin McCarthy. Well, I guess the people are more upset than you are. We learned from the report, the big report, for the first time, he parries efforts to tell them to be peaceful. He sends that crazy ass tweet saying, oh, you poor guys, I know it's terrible when you have an election stolen from you. The whole 187 minutes where, oh, here's another big detail from the report, there's just no records of what happened. You can't scratch your nose in the Oval Office without there being a public record of it. But here, the whole record-keeping system went dark. If he made phone calls, he probably got, fake throwaway phones, really just like a mob syndicate. So it's clear he did nothing. It's clear he knew the riot was happening no later than about 1:45 when he was told expressly. And that would be the aiding and abetting theory of insurrection. Insurrection, always kind of difficult, checkered record in the DOJ. He put in that phony baloney, we're going to rally peacefully, which actually a speechwriter put in. Or he could try to make political speech defenses. So not easy, and it could well be that the department takes a pass on it. That is the second biggest problem, because the first is nobody really knows what you have to do to effectuate, to trigger Section 3. It was passed in the wake of the Civil War, and initially it was to keep the former Confederates from coming back to Congress, and that is what happened. The members of Congress voted them out until in 1870 they just said, all right, enough's enough, you guys can come back. Since then, it's hardly been used. It was used famously in 1919. A socialist was elected from Wisconsin, came to be seated, and Congress said, no, you can't be seated. You're a socialist during World War I. He went back. There was another election. He won again. He came again. Congress again said, oh, no, you can't be seated. That and other sort of snippets in the law, including this one case from the 1800s by Chief Justice Salmon Chase, though he was sitting not in the Supreme Court, suggest that what you really need to do to effectuate this is have Congress decide. Congress is the judge of qualifications, at least of Congress members. So there's reason to think that Congress has to decide. On the other hand, could it just a partisan vote, a majority vote with a presidential signing, be enough to keep anyone from serving in the future? Think of our roiled partisan politics, and would that do it? The tricky thing here is whatever is chosen, the Supreme Court is going to eventually pass on, and they might say, oops, you got it wrong. It's not Congress. So to my mind, you need Congress. Other of my pointy-headed peers disagree. I think you need it. And then you go to this charge. You hope the DOJ brings it. It's more than is needed because it's beyond a reasonable doubt. Certainly this could be a civil suit. But the way it's normally done with little state office holders is somebody sues in a state, it goes to a local state court, and they say, oh, this person doesn't live in the county. And then there's a determination by a local judge, and the few times it's succeeded, that person is bounced. It seems totally clear to me that ain't going to work for the former president of the United States, and the Supreme Court is going to tell us what will. So it would be great, in some ways the perfect solution, even more than indicting him, because he could run for office as an indicted guy. He could run in an ankle bracelet. So this is really a fair thing, and it's in the Constitution. But everyone's trying to figure out what to do. There was a motion introduced last week. There was so much happening, and it didn't make a lot of news, by 40 Democrats to say he committed insurrection. And that's, to my mind, you want something from Congress and something from the courts. Okay, so there you have it. The great provision in the Constitution, but this big puzzle. And then, of course, could DOJ and will it choose DOJ to bring insurrection charges? That's the two-part puzzle to 14th Amendment Section 3. And one of the biggest outstanding questions out there. But there are many, and things are happening fast and furious now that the baton has passed, or as I said last time, the Mack truck has passed of information. I'm sure more will be happening, and soon. And when it does, I'll be here to talk to you and give you my reaction. We've got our own YouTube channel, by the way. Check it out. And if spirit moves you, like and subscribe. But I'll be coming back here anyway and regularly. And until the next time, talk to you later.
MeidasTouch is unapologetically pro-democracy. And look, we know you are too. So please make sure you check out our best-selling shirt and our best-selling gear, the unapologetically pro-democracy gear. And hey, while you're at it, make sure you check out my favorite shirt and one of our most famous designs, It Wasn't Rigged, You're Just a Loser, at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.